How are you doing? Okay, so so today we're going to be talking about co-working, hacker spaces, and really just what community means in Bitcoin. So as our lovely MC said, I'm Kim. I have the honor and privilege of working at Voltage, and I have an amazing panel of people from all over different spaces doing different things, and we're just going to chat and keep it really, really deep. So if you guys would introduce yourselves, what space that you represent, and also tell us a little bit about what your space does.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian Akshu. I'm with Wolf. We're an accelerator program focused on people building on Bitcoin and Bitcoin adjacent protocols. So our space is in New York City, and basically the way our program works, it kind of makes it into like the community, is that we made a very conscious choice that it should be in person, that there's just more, when you're together, you create more and try to like harness creative and entrepreneurial energy. That's kind of what we do and why we wanted to do something in person. I'm sure we'll talk about more.
I'm Carr, co-founder of BloodLab. We're a Bitcoin hackerspace in Austin, Texas. We support developers, entrepreneurs, startups, builders, all sorts.
Hi, my name is Brian. I'm a co-founder of Retail BitLab here in town, and we're very similar to BloodLab in a way. Hackerspace and co-working is kind of how we describe it. So renting out desks, giving Bitcoiners in Atlanta a place to work, but really heavily focused on the community aspect, building a community, building builders, and trying to build some open source software.
Hey everybody. Hey everybody, I'm Kaylee. I work at Unchained and I manage and run the Bitcoin Commons in Austin, Texas. We are an event and co-working space, kind of similar to Bitcoin Park, right down the street from BloodLab, and really kind of all started when we started BitDevs back in 2019 and then picking it back up in 2021, and it grew so rapidly that when we moved our offices, we just decided that we needed a space for the growing Bitcoin community in Texas, and so that's how the Commons was created.
I do a mic test.
Put the mic switch on.
Test the mic. Hot mic. Josh, Bitcoin Park. I am the community and ops manager here at Bitcoin Park. In true startup fashion, kind of anything that needs to be done for facilities, all that kind of stuff, whatever kind of arises. Bitcoin Park is a community-driven campus, community-supported campus. We're in the Hillsborough West End part of Nashville, and we've been around for about a year now. And we kind of our bread and butter is memberships, but we do monthly topical content, educational pieces. We've done over 40 plus free events to the community, do a couple of ticketed summits throughout the year, and we're focused on grassroots adoption.
Awesome. So one of the big things that I feel like we hear a lot is, what value do I get from being a part of these spaces? But also from an aspect of the law. What's the value that somebody can bring to your space? This is a double-edged question of value. What is the value that you really feel your space offers to our community, and what is the value that you gain from our community?
If you're not speaking, turn your mic on. If you're not talking, turn your mic on, and when you are, close your face.
I would think that. So, ours is probably a little bit different in terms of obviously there's like an application process to get involved with this. I think the big thing that comes away from this space is really like an energy, really. Just from being around people that are like-minded, that have the same kind of vision from you. I remember after our first cohort, Neil Woodfine, who some of you may know, had said to me man, those first 2 weeks of not being there anymore was almost I felt like my whole life kind of stopped. I'm surrounded by people that are pumping me full of energy, getting me inspired, and everyone's doing the same thing, and then all of a sudden you're back home and you're like, oh, like life needs to go on, but like I still need to be doing that. Like there's a weird thing there. So I think like that's like one of the biggest things that I think from like the community aspect of it. It's like sometimes you just need to be around someone else doing the same kind of stuff to get motivated. It's like having a gym buddy that like pushes you on the days where you don't want to push yourself. So that's like I would say the biggest thing that comes away from this is that like sometimes you just need like other like-minded people doing the same thing as you to really fuel yourself.
Yeah, I would say like in the hackerspace model, like I've noticed over the course of a couple of years now that we'll have people with like a dream or an aspiration to do something, and then they usually get there really fast. And being from Austin, you're connected to so many people. We have the commons right down the street, so you can go back and forth and have this conversation amongst the community in Austin. The other really cool thing I've noticed is how productive people become. Typically around similar to what Brian was saying, like looking like somebody like Keon over there, like Stacker News, like seeing where he started and where he is now is just like crazy. Francisco's out there in the crowd, seeing where he was 2 years ago when I met him to where he is now is like, wow, he's about to launch his app. So it's really cool being on that journey with them and then being able to help them to facilitate the growth of themselves.
All the mics work now, so I got the last two. Yeah.
So, sorry, the question is value. So what's the value on either side? Yeah. It's a great question. I think in Atlanta, so, circa 2020, 2021, some people might know it was for a quick primer. Before it was Tab, Atlanta BitDevs, it was Tab and Meetup. And then Tab and Meetup kind of split and did TABconf, which is where we are. And then Meetup became Atlanta BitDevs. And, that's been there. Like Tidwell and Brandon have done so much work. Like we're just building on the shoulders of giants there. And so, I want to say the value would be, especially from like myself and Steven as co-founders, bringing education in various aspects, specifically in the hackerspace sense, like technically, so building builders. But that's kind of always been there in some ways, right? Is Atlanta BitDevs is pretty robust. We've got a great crew. We've got some guys here. So I think the biggest value that we're able to bring to our community is a camaraderie, like this intangibles. For me, I know I feel like these people that I'm hanging out with and building stuff with are my family, and that means a lot to me. And on top of that, we're also just building cool stuff and being able to produce work that people use or show off that we feel good about. And I think that brings like a level of open development. I mean, it matters. It's a big deal in space, and we want to contribute towards that. So I think that's what ATL Deadline is trying to bring and trying to build, and then I hope that's what they're getting out of it too.
So for the comments, I'm going to kind of go off like what Carr said a little bit, but it's creating or giving opportunity for collaboration. We're giving Bitcoiners a safe space where, like similar to Wolf, like we have an application process. We don't take shitcoiners as members. Like we're creating this kind of, not necessarily a bubble, but a place where Bitcoiners and devs and anybody can come and feel like they can collaborate, work with others. And I don't know if there's any of the Mutiny guys in here, but like, that's my kind of favorite example is like those three were working independently and working with other companies when they became members of the Commons, and just from hanging out and just talking about ideas, they kind of conceptualized and came up with Mutiny, and they're there every day, and it's just like this hodgepodge of industry and value, and I love that. And for me, what I get out of it is I'm not technical and I don't have a macro background. So for me, just like the fun captain is like what I can contribute to the space and just giving people that space. So that's
Awesome. So like community is the cornerstone of this whole thing, right? But this is the backbone and foundation of Citadels are these things, even these meetups or these spaces. If you're feeling inspired to start something, like all of us, or Matt and Rod have, and all we all have, or Bitcoin Grove and whatever. This is where we have this invisible monitoring network, right? But yet we're relational beings, and we must connect, and we have a yearning for that kind of thing. So that is only manifested in the context of community. So we want to, at Bitcoin Park, we want to have this space. We're fortunate enough to have this beautiful space that is inspiring, allows you to tap into both sides of your brain and do your best work in the context of community, where people can kind of learn, build, collaborate, and do all that. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, like all these buildings are just mortar, brick, plaster, all that kind of thing. It helps that we don't need the shed, but like having a place for people to belong and feel warm. We want our members to feel like they have a place where they belong. We're kind of like, Bitcoiners are kind of like the island misfit toys. I was talking to you about this earlier. And like what the world would otherwise reject, we're just the free thinkers, we're the people, we're the pioneers. And so we just want to have a place for people to come and feel alive in those spaces. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. I mean, attention to detail is another thing. So part of my job is making sure that our guests and members are taken care of, that things get people have a good experience, right? At the end of the day, and that you feel like you want to come back. So yeah, that's just kind of there's no detail that's like too small, right? To show that you care, kind of thing. So at the end of the day, I'm just going to harp my community because that's all I know how to harp on, because I really think that's everything. So yeah.
I want to kind of focus a little bit on what Brian and Josh are saying. You know, Brian, you said people come and it's electric, right? You leave Commons or Club Lab or Bitcoin Park after an event or a meetup or something, and you're just on fire. And you go home and then you're like, oh, not what I do. For those that don't get to live in Atlanta or Austin or Nashville, what would you say to them? Maybe they're not technical. I'm not technical. Kelly said she's not technical. I know Josh isn't technical. Sometimes we can feel kind of left out in this space, especially at a conference like this, right? What would you say to someone who goes home and is like, I just want that where I live? What is your recommendation to them to start?
I would say, like, me and Kelly know this, like, start with a meetup, right? And use some of those anchor companies, especially Bitcoin companies are bigger in the town, like Unchained. Use them to facilitate the growth of that community around there. So I think you could probably talk more about how that works, but that's kind of just happened now, so like that.
I was actually gonna joke that I actually have a company that helps companies that help pay for the space, so it might be different for somebody that's like just in a town and they're like, well, I want to start a meetup on my own. But one of the initiatives that we took with like Unchained in the Commons was we didn't want it to feel like Unchained's space. We wanted it to feel like a collaborative co-op space. So we did reach out to other Bitcoin companies. And I think there's also value in that. It's like there is this, not a divide, but there's a separation between like the builders and the larger companies that are coming into the space. And I think that because we're still so low in adoption, there's nothing wrong with finding kind of harmony between those two and really growing the community that way. And I'm sure there are Bitcoiners in pockets everywhere. I know Josh in Nashville, like they really value the grassroots movement. Sometimes it starts really small and it just takes a little time, but persistence and consistency are really the key. Sometimes you feel like giving up because it feels like it's not going anywhere, but just give it time.
Yeah, Noni, sorry, we're going to call the second Brian Noni because that's how we're going to differentiate the Brians. Noni, what would you say, because I feel like of all of us up here, you're the one that really started the most, like, well, not to let me not leave car out, but, the most grassroots, most, like, just from nothing. Though you helped Tab kind of spin off from, you and Stephen really just kind of went out and did your own thing. And then at Car, same for you, when really starting at the beginning, you filed that out first.
Yeah, I think, so last night, I was talking to one of our members and community members. He's also a paying member at BitLab. And he told me a story that he never told me before, that before he had landed in Atlanta, he'd been kind of traveling around the city looking for a home, looking for a place to be, looking for Bitcoiners. And he landed here and got stuck into the community, and then now he's a part of BitLab and he's hasn't left. And so like that, is just like an interesting, I guess, case study for, you don't know if somebody is out there, and so if you put it out there, sometimes they will come, right? Like if you build it, sometimes they'll come. Now other times you just gotta just get out there and just talk about yourself a little bit, right? Talk about what you're doing, try and put it out in front of people. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of like, the what am I trying to say here? It's yeah, that's kind of how. Sorry, what was your original question? I lost my train of thought.
No, you're good. So what would you say to those who are like, well, I don't know companies, or I don't know, like, what do I do? How do I create this community myself?
Apologies. Yeah, so I think that's kind of just part of the starting point, right? And then you build a meetup, you can go from there, but again, I didn't really get to do that. Tidwell did that, we were gracious, or we're thankful for that. And so with BitLab specifically, we just kind of were like, hey, we need a physical space. And Steven was like, oh, I want to do this hackerspace thing, it sounds kind of cool. And I was like, oh, I want to be like BitLab. I want to do something cool like BitLab. And so, I wanted to run it more like a business and try and do similar things to build that atmosphere in Atlanta. And then, we were kind of like, well, I guess we're kind of doing different things. Maybe we'll look at it. Right. So then, fast forward a month, we were doing a hackathon. It was like Dungeons and Lightning. And Steven was like, we were just talking about this, and then Steven kind of stops with a pause and he goes, it sounds like the thing you want to do and the thing I want to do are like the same thing. I was like, yeah, dude. Welcome to the party, right? And so we decided, all right, we're gonna put together some sort of operating agreement and do all the legal crap. Before we do that, we decided, what are we? And why do we exist? Try and establish the why, right? That's the intangible, that's why people will come. That's what people care about, and it speaks to their limbic system, if you will. And then just start trying to create value and finding people who will just support you. We have a handful of members that are, like $50 donors just because they want to be a part of it. And then I do want to plug something real quick. So something that we've been talking about and doing and building with is some sort of a template, right? Almost like Bitcoin Beach did their thing, and then they did white papers, and now they've got this template where all these circular economies are spinning up. So we want to try and replicate that similar model and do like an open source initiative on, here's the kit for building a hackerspace / coworking / whatever. And I think Car also wants to, yeah, we're gonna be partnering on that, but yeah.
Yeah, I would just say the 2021 was crazy, man. We're extremely lucky, and I know we keep saying this over and over until somebody tells me to stop saying this, but Parker, Kaylee, and all them, literally set they just set the tone for 2021 early, and I think maybe it's just a Texas thing, but a lot of us just felt like, okay, we need to do something. And then ABC was created, and then that was a social thing, and then we're a bunch of it kind of just turned out to a bunch of devs just hanging out at ABC all the time, remember? And then people, I think it was Keon's idea, I played Keon, but he was the one that had the hackerspace idea, and I was crazy enough to believe him that we could do it. And just because we're fans of All Catch Fire, that was the only reason. And then we figured it out, and then it just kind of started that way. It was very natural. There was nothing planned or anything. It was just very natural. And Kaylee and Parker and all them, Justin set the tone for the company.
I do want to say though, that's also one thing that I didn't add in, that the values part was it started as just BitDevs. It was a technical meetup. We did it once a month. In the bull market, we had 220 people in our tiny little office in Austin. And I would say probably 2/3 of those people were not technical people. They were just there because they wanted to be around Bitcoiners. And so by creating the Commons, by creating BitLab, what we got out of that is now you see these almost separate interest groups. Maybe you're not technical, maybe you're a designer, maybe maybe you're into lightning building. So now we have the lightning meetup once a month. We have the design club meetup once a month. And so now there's all of these different categories that more people can find their little group that they fit into where they really can contribute more. And I think that's also one of the cool things, is to just watch how it evolves over time.
Awesome. And Josh, I promise I would not put you on the spot, but I need, you guys are trying to single next year, this is why. Speak a little bit to your experience of truly building a community before you got to Nashville. So you came from small town, thought you were the only Bitcoiner that existed there. How did you really go about building a Bitcoin community in Greenville, South Carolina? And then that experience of leaving it and making sure that it didn't die?
Yeah, good question. Piggybacking off of what Ryan said, if you build it, they will come, right? Kind of thing. So there's an interest out there. People want to be with like-minded folks, and Kim, I mean, obviously we're married, if you don't know this right now, so totally doxed myself. Oh, what the hell was that kid? 2 months ago, there you go. Totally doxed, so it's been a busy season. But yeah, we started this meetup in Greenville, and because we kind of selfishly wanted to hang out, find like-minded people in the area, and we know they're out there. And yes, meetup.com is not the most ideal platform, but it's where traffic goes. It's what we have right now. We have a better open source option of sorts. But yeah, so we started that, and of course there's a decent amount of policing that always takes place. We have XRP Army warriors that come in, and we have all of these folks that are constantly batting back and be like, okay, we're Bitcoin centric, so we could hear this meetup for that somewhere else, go there. But anyways, yada, fast forward. This whole thing came to Bitcoin Park. Weird Robot over there had mentioned that there's this thing called Bitcoin Park. Let's go check it out. Who wants to check it out? And I said, yeah, so we came. And everybody's technical coding. And I don't know any of that stuff. So I'm like, right, I'm gonna take a cooler downstairs, take the trash out, do something around here. Did that stuff, was busy doing that stuff all week, and then just like went back home and Ryan called me and said, hey, I'd like to come out and like working test create this kind of thing. And so this was already, but where I'm entering into that story, the seeds in Nashville were already planted. And I want to give credit to Mills. Specific Mills is one of the big reasons why that community is what it is in Nashville. She's kind of the unsung hero, and she doesn't look for the attention, she just wanted it, and none of us do. But the point is I don't want her to go unmentioned because she's the reason for Nashville being what it is really. So, and then Rod and Matt had this kind of crazy idea just to start this co-working space, a place for people to come in. Florida Georgia line just had broken up, and the country music band, Top Country, had broken up, and they got the buildings, and it worked out, so they brought me on the greasy wheels. But in that whole process, like, we were passing the torch in Greenville to make sure that continued, because we didn't want that to die. I was still encouraging that leader to come to grassroots. So we're holding an event next week at Bitcoin Park, where it's like a meetup of meetups kind of thing. So yeah, anyways, this light's moving around, so you know. But either way, yeah. So I'm just kind of getting long-winded here, but yeah, I entered into Bitcoin Park, and some of the things were already going. We had to kind of had to knock the dust off and get some systems up and running again. But yeah, right from the ground, I knew it was going to be this awesome thing to be a part of this truly grassroots thing. And Matt and Rod, so uncompromising and like the whole Bitcoin centric, wanting to have like 5 signal content that we're distributing throughout. And also, that's something for our members, they can get behind, like confidently get behind, take ownership in the park. Like there's so many folks like Chad's here, he shows up all the time, and it's like, you know, partaking in what we have to give, but also like where can I help out, where can I pitch in? And that's what's awesome about this community. Brian mentioned it, we get to living out with our friends all the time in the midst of our work. So I think I got the best job in the world. It's kind of unique, makes it up and down. Really cool. But yeah. Does that come into the question a little bit, or did I answer that?
I would check the spot, I promise you.
This is not my strong suit.
No, but meetup.com, again, it's not the verbs, right? Put yourself out there. People will come or they won't. There were 2 people that showed up to our first meetup in South Carolina, and it was Josh and I. I think maybe one other guy came next week, or I don't even know how often he did it.
And it ended up being a big one.
It did. I don't know, it was great. But you know, we went to the Bitcoin meetup in our space. It was total shitcoinery. And so we didn't want to steal people from that because they wanted to be there. But we found the Bitcoiners there, and we invited them. We were like, hey, come check ours out. If you like this, please stay. We don't want to take you from this. a secure thing, but we want to talk about Bitcoin only. So just starting. Next thing I really want to talk about is your spaces specifically. What are the projects or the initiatives or the events that are happening that the broader community can come, learn from, and take back into their space? We'll be very excited about this.
I'm the worst person up here to answer that. I don't know, I will plug one thing real quick, something I've been thinking about, like obviously like, we're very focused on like building companies and things like that, but something, you know, over the course of running Wolf, I've interviewed, 200 people at this point, people talking about building things. So many solo founders, and it's kind of that same issue we're talking about, like, you know, how do you connect with that person, especially when you feel like maybe that they don't even exist out there, you know, your first meetup with 2 people. I've put a lot of thought into how to connect people that want to build and like find the right people they want to build with, especially like, being a solo founder is really hard. If you do need like a co-founder to like build something with, it's like you need diverse skills. Like sometimes 2 technical people is the right thing, but like one of them kind of has to become the CEO sales type, and someone else can just like can stay as the CTO type. So I'm kind of open sourcing this question and would love to talk to anyone about this. It's like I want to figure out the right way to like introduce people and do that, whether it's like a quarterly Zoom call and someone can come on and be like, hey, here's my idea, like, you know, I'm doing something with AI in Bitcoin, or I'm doing something like I found an interesting use case with an Astra protocol. I'm building this, like, who wants to connect? And that's just something that's an event that I want to start doing to connect people to like keep building together. So please talk to me about it later.
I was hanging out with you for like the past couple of days, and just seeing you like hear somebody's project or what they're building, and then he just comes right away and just like chops it up and says this, and I've seen you do that at least 5 times already at this point. It's crazy, but I think it's all the amount of inbound that you guys are seeing over there, right? It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's like I don't necessarily think all my ideas are right and the right way to do it. It's just like the way I look at it is like my thing is obviously around businesses. Like I feel like I'm around VCs all the time, but I'm not one. So I have a lot of strong opinions on VCs in general and like what they look for and what they do. So like I can just kind of be like I can just kind of funnel some ideas to people to like help people put the right mindset. So that's why I feel like, you know, like obviously what my company is like to build great businesses, but like I also like, I don't know, I'm always open to help anyone with anything and give advice. So
that's what I would say too, like from the hackerspace side. I don't want to speak for Brian here, but like that's a thing that we lack, I would say, doing hackerspace is that part. We can go to the comments and talk to Marty or Parker, who have a lot more experience, and get that. But it would, I think that's what I've noticed. But to get back to your question, I think the coolest thing that I've seen is just the amount of builders that show up with different skill sets, right? Like these T-level kind of things, and they have just different, whether they're just in engineering, or they're hardware, or software, or they're just creative, they're a writer, you know? And then seeing all that collaboration that happens together, I think that's a really cool thing, because something wondrous can come out of that. I think that's the coolest thing about doing something like a hackerspace.
So projects I'm excited about. So first, I want to mention, because meetup.com is a shitcoin, and well, meetup.com is
You guys were building.
Yeah. So we actually built in Atlanta for a hackathon. We called it first we called it Meetster, like Meetup meets Nostr, but then apparently Meetster is a domain already, Meetster.com. It's meat, like actual meat. Oh, wow. Yeah. So we were like, right, we can't do that. So then I think we landed on cat herd, because as an organizer, you're kind of always herding cats. So I just want to put that out there as a potential alternative one day. It's like deep battlefield. But that's definitely, that amongst like a handful of other things, because it starts back in like 21, I think, in March. We built like a lightning app that lets you park using, or you can pay for parking in Atlanta, and big for parking in Atlanta sucks. Atlanta sucks for parking in general. And so we were like, all right, let's just add lightning to an app and like let people pay each way. And so that ended up winning us the Pull.Fun hackathon at the time. And then, we built, the cat herd, we built recently a BidDevs upgrade. I mean, there's all kinds of, it's funny because Steven said it last night, but like, you look back after a year of trying to build something and like, what did we build? Did we do anything? Like, what did we do, right? Like, I don't know, I can't remember. And then we look back, we're like, oh wait, yeah, we actually, so, and then I'm very excited about this Bitcoin Hackers Initiative project that we're trying to get off the ground, which will be, using for a verifiable credential to basically onboard people into a broad network. And if you're a hackerspace that's listed in this credential in the network, you give it to a onboard a member, and they can go to anywhere and use it, and get benefits, or maybe there's like a free day.
I was gonna say, like, one of the things that we noticed during BitBlock Boom, I don't know if I didn't have to ask you about that, but like, there's just random people coming using Lightning Door that we didn't vet.
Yeah.
And so that's cool, it's fine, but like, still, right? Like, and I think going through that, I realized, okay, it'd be cool if like they were pre-checked by the commons, right? And it's just a thread, or it did, right? And then, or ATL. So anyway, I think that's really, doing this now, I realized when we were talking about this, and you probably already know this, Taylor, like, there needs to be some kind of hackerspace OS or platform of sort, because there needs to be like Unchained for hackerspaces, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of collaborating, and hopefully we can get more people to help us with that.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm super pumped about it. And if any of you guys are interested in talking about that, please let me know. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And then, I'm more excited about what I don't know for the future. I think there's a lot that can happen in the next couple of years, especially in Atlanta. Vibe in Atlanta has changed significantly over the last year or two. And since I've been, heavily participating and involved in first going and then getting involved with helping. And so I'm just super pumped to see like where we can go and bring in more people and try and, influence Bitcoiners to move to Atlanta. It's right next to where the Bitcoin, the next Bitcoin 2024 is going to be here, so anyway. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Well, I think there's a lot of cool, I think I said this earlier, there's a lot of cool projects that are going on in the Commons. We have Mugi, we have Fetty there, Parker and Will are helping John with that, right? So just kind of a Mod Podge. I think one of my goals in hearing the whole hackerspace idea is that I would love to just create this network of these spaces that are not limited by geography, because we have technology, and so like creating a way for people to go to all of these co-working Bitcoin community spaces, and just feeling like it's more connected than just like our individual cities. And then as more people come in, like if you are thinking of starting your own space in your own town, it's like hopefully we can build on that network, and eventually we'll have these spaces in every major city.
Yeah. Everything that y'all said makes, it's right on point with what I want to say, but like trying not to detail the next events we have going on in the park. So we always have something in the pipeline. I feel like Matt and Ron have us like over our skis a little bit at any given time. So just trying to keep up with
All
that.
the best ways.
Yeah, all the best ways.
After setting done, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just like focus on Bitcoin Park too much and like what we're doing there. But things I'm excited about is like we're holding Oscarville in November, and that's going to be awesome because it's just like this super awesome niche of folks that we're talking about, like closing the streets down, having some merchants there, lightning transit. Like you guys have done some cool stuff at the farmers market, right? So we're looking to kind of expand some things in Oscarville, but not getting too far ahead. Next week is going to be really cool because we're, for the first time kind of at Bitcoin Park, we're going to be having some private events next week with Human Rights Foundation and Outside Steam & Co. We're going to have folks from 69 different countries at Bitcoin Park it's just going to be so cool. It's going to be like anything we've ever seen at the park. So, and then the day prior, we're going to do the grassroots meetup thing, which really was our pinnacle event in 2022. And we did beefsteak, which was amazing. But that will not happen this year, unfortunately. So there's that, and then October we're going to do a regenerative agriculture type thing with ranchers and Bitcoiners. We want to try to bring that community together. As one of the rabbit trails of Bitcoin is, once again, opting out of the food industrial complex, medical industrial complex, pharmaceuticals, all that stuff. We've held a all summit where we had a meat mafia there and stuff like that. So we just want to bring awareness. We want to let people know that there's options out there, and we have a space to do that. December, we're going to do Bitcoin policy. So we're going to have some senators there, whatever. I know Bitcoiners, I was kind of resistant to it at first, and I'm like, what are they doing here? Proud to have senators here. But now I see the big picture. Actually, Bitcoin Park is doing some really cool stuff to help steer policy in the state of Tennessee in a positive direction for Bitcoin and sovereignty and freedom and things like that. And we've gotten great reception from Senator Haggerty and Senator Blackburn and stuff like that. So it's been pretty neat. Another thing I'm excited about is we're working with another thing. I was like, what are we doing with like the Vanderbilt Blockchain Club? Like, what does that look like? And like, why are we like, because we're so Bitcoin centric, why are we having some kind of lot with like a blockchain club? But now I'm seeing the picture. Some of those folks have like, some of those kids have just like come over and like, we're giving them cold cards and stuff, and they're like, this is so cool. Like they're like using the tools and like they're seeing why Bitcoin, and they're not kind of gravitating away from the shitcoin thing. And it's kind of passing the torch to the next generation, which is what we need to do. It's like a bigger thing. So I'm really excited about that, and like mentoring those guys. Noah helps fill in for me when I'm off on Fridays, and like mentoring these kids. It's actually a pretty kind of cool thing.
It's Willen.
Huh? Will left this morning. So we have some Vanderbilt folks that are from there that are working with us the part that we're here at TAB. Oh, sweet. So that's that. And then we go on the January Energy and National Energy Summit, where policymakers, utility companies, miners, all these folks coming together. And it was really cool last year.
Yeah, I just wanted to, you jogged my memory. So in Atlanta, there's a blockchain club in Georgia Tech, right? There's not a Bitcoin club, there's not like anything else, it's just blockchain, right? And then, Steve and I went there, so this prompted me to like the question earlier, like how do you get people to know about you, how do you find people? Well, this was one of our ways of trying to like drum up startup support, right? Is go to students because they're gonna be looking to start startups, and maybe we can teach them how to build stuff, and then they'll build Bitcoin companies. Oh boy, like that blockchain club most of them were hardcore Ethereum maxis, right? And so it's like, we went in there and I will never forget this because my heart rate had to have been like 150 beats per minute because I didn't fully realize the gravity of what I was about to do, because I go to the next slide and it's like basically like a Bitcoin versus Ethereum slide, and like how shitty Ethereum is. And like it just all hell broke loose, but it turned into like a debate, and at the end of it I ended up making a lot of friends, and a bunch of them came out last night to the party and hung out. And so go in like a bowl in a china shop, but like do it in a polite way. I don't know, maybe that's the lesson, but yeah, it's a good place to look for people.
Go find your enemies.
Yeah.
Convert them. So we have about 6 minutes left. I really want to have just final thoughts in general, and also how can people connect with you. But I do want to do it really quickly because I want to offer time for Q&A. I don't have questions for you. Come up with something.
Sorry, this is going to come up. So how can you touch with me?
Final thoughts.
The final thoughts.
That'll be fun too.
My final thought is that, like, from everything people talked about here, there's like a core thing that I've always thought about is like you build your audience one person at a time. Whether you're going to that, you're talking a bunch of ETH maxis, but you find one person that becomes over, and then one person has network effects in doing that. Whether it's your meetup, and you have just the first two there, and then it's the third person coming, and whether you're starting a meetup or you're starting a business, it's like you get one person, you listen to them, you find out how you can improve, and from there you build your meetup, you build your company, you build your customer base. So that's, I don't know, that's like a very, like, we're talking first principles of some of what we've been talking about. That's the core of it. It's like, sometimes it's one person at a time, and you feel insignificant, but it matters and it grows. Yeah, get in touch with me. I'm Brian Atchu. You probably can't spell that, but come up and say something on Twitter, and I'll give you my email or business card.
Yeah, I would just like to mention too that a lot of us talk to each other and we all share ideas, and that's the thing I love about all the people up here, and even the other ones that aren't up here, that we all share things as far as like, hey, this is how you do this. I'm just gonna plug some stuff because I have a lot of stuff to show. Yeah, come to Plug Lab, come check it out. Hackerspace in Austin. We have memberships online. Go there. Also want to show Neopaki. Francisco's been building Neopaki for the past 2 years. He's finally launching this month in Mexico City. Get in contact with him. Can you raise your hand? Yeah, and if you want to go to Mexico City and be a part of history. The other thing is, want to shout out Super Testnet. I ran the numbers super. You have like 1,999 contributions since you joined Club Lab, so can we get a round of applause?
As of today.
Oh, as of today. And then we also have Nikki, based at the H. She's working at a Club Lab now. She's doing classes, onboarding a lot of new developers. If you're interested and you want to Bitcoin++, go to bitcoin++.dev. And also sign up for her classes because she's doing God's work, and I don't think people realize how important it is to get the education out there. But seeing people convert from Solana to Bitcoin, then it's like, oh, this is another wonder thing that we're talking about. And then finally, just want to show everybody who works at Club Lab, love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. I think my final thoughts on that here are, if you are from a city that doesn't have a hackerspace or a community space or a meetup, start it. Come talk to one of us, talk to anybody that has started one or is involved in one as a cohort, and do it because it's worth it. And it'll pay you back in spades, and you'll have a family, and that's an awesome thing. And then I think also just build stuff. Like if you want to do a hackerspace, like get your friends together, build some things. Super proud and excited to be a part of this team. There's 3 guys from here, Chad, Jordan, Brad, all of us hung out together. Rich is here. Like we built so much cool shit together, and it's just, I don't know, it's memories, but it's also proof of work, right? Contributions. I need to go, and we need to run. Yeah, I need to run the numbers. Maybe we can.
Thanks for partnering.
But yeah, if you want to contact me, you just come up and I'll be here in a couple days. And I'm also on X.com, Nani.io or Nani.io. But yeah, just come talk to me.
My final thoughts are everybody in here should move to Austin, Texas. But if you don't have the ability to do that, kind of what Brian said, just reach out. This community is tight-knit. I know it can be intimidating sometimes on Twitter with the Hornets, but very nice people. Everybody here wants Bitcoin to succeed, and we want Bitcoiners. And so if you're looking like what Josh was saying about getting street vendors to come out in November, Oshi, Brian Atwood is not here, or Michael Atwood is not here right now, but he runs Oshi and he does block parties down on Rainy Street in Austin, where he gets all of those food trucks to accept Bitcoin. And if you reach out to him, I am sure that he would love to onboard vendors in your city for a block party if you wanted to do that. So just be open, and it's gonna be hard work, but if it ain't hard, it ain't worth doing, because it's a labor of love. But if you do want to come to the Commons, I highly recommend coming and visiting, and it's open whenever. Just reach out to me. It's Kaylee Lemmy, or just go to the Bitcoin Commons Twitter page and send a DM. I manage that account.
Awesome. Part of the problem with me in the lines of has already said everything you wanted to say. So, with that said, we all, have a pioneering spirit in us. So if there's, also takes this little spark, and it doesn't have to be these buildings in Hillsborough, West End of Nashville. It doesn't have to be this place in Austin. It just has to be a place to do community together, and you can get creative with things too. I can do workshops and build seat signers and all kinds of cool things that add value to the community. And I would just not shy away from that. Be the change you want to be. The whole thing, Odell talks about that. And so I would just say, if you have any inkling, start a meetup and let's go from there. And to get a hold from bitcoinpark.com, there's going to be links to the meetup page. We have a Discord channel where you can get in and kind of lurk and see everything we got coming down the pike. And I think that's it. I'll be here afterwards to talk to anyone who wants to chat about anything.
Also, I'm doing a talk on hackerspaces at 1:30.
Awesome. Well, we are out of time. Does anybody have a Q&A real quick? Questions for
How do you guys plan for the cyclical nature of Bitcoin, where in the bear market you might have 10 people in a room, but in the bull market suddenly it's like 300 and there's no AC and everyone's sweaty and it's gross?
No shot.
Are you referring to? Oh, by the way, these are the good old days. I remind everybody that these are the good old days, right here. We're in them right now, so enjoy them. So yes, that's what I was gonna say. I'm sorry, you kind of directed the question.
Well, everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I like when a room is packed, it's high energy. I know people hate the heat in the commons in the summer, but I don't know, it doesn't bother me. And make friends. I just make friends with people, like, cause when we get those our meetups are free. So like, anybody can come to a meetup, we feed everybody, we provide drinks, companies will help out and contribute, and it's a collaboration. I don't have a solution for the packed rooms, other than by having these spaces, like I said earlier, is like smaller groups can break out from it and create their own kind of niche clubs, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, we're little, right? But we're mighty little. But I think Steven and I have done some thinking about, like, in the future, with potential scaling and bringing more people in and the potential for that happening. My philosophy is, like, as grassroots as possible, basically. Like, we've both thrown in some money, right, to get us off the ground, to pay for rent, and basically just get out there and sell. I mean, I've never sold desks as hard as I've done last year, right? And then, try and keep a core group and bring value to their lives and hang out and do all that. And then, as a result, so if we keep things like small and break even, basically, more or less, which is more or less what we try to do, then you can just grow that way for 10 years. Because if you're able to keep the lights on and you're not trying to be the next Facebook of workspaces, then you're good. Slow, sustainable growth. I guess I can sum it up as that.
Hello, thank you for your time. I'm wondering, do you have any suggestions? Let's say somebody wants to start a meetup in their town, in their city, etc. How do you go about finding a dedicated space for 10 to 50 people to meet semi-consistently?
So typically there's co-working spaces. We use capital factories or those commons, and just negotiate. Tell them that you're a Bitcoiner and you're doing really cool stuff, and convince them. That's it. It's just that simple.
I'm just gonna add on to that. I've been to a lot of meetups in a lot of cities. Restaurants, like Dallas, they do it at Dunstan's. In Houston, we found a garage that we rent out. In LA, we used to do them at various restaurants. So there's options for everyone.
Yeah, a quick follow-up is I'm curious in your experiences too. Have you had to get funding for this, or are people usually open to just, you can come in and see if it works?
To start a meetup doesn't require any funding. Typically, the refill sponsors every meetup, so just hit up that refill. I'm kidding. But yeah, it's not hard to do a meetup or a club. It really isn't.
And look, you're probably not gonna have 50 people on your first meetup. It's probably gonna be 5 to 8.
Yeah.
So meet at a restaurant and just take up a back section. Nobody's gonna say anything. You can have quiet conversations. As it grows, that's when people will kind of go into their pockets if they're really enjoying something and it creates a community space, and they'll contribute because they want that connection once a month,
Yeah, find your right guys. That's the whole point of starting a meetup, and then from there you can grow.
Breweries are great. I think there's so many so many meetups that are really just starting breweries. There's free good stuff there, or not free. There's stuff there that they can drink, something they can eat. The refill will often, Carstag, sponsor you. Also reach out to companies from companies' perspective, like Voltage. We love just to do swag that you can give away. Who doesn't like a free pair of socks or a hat or just random stickers? I know Unchained has done that. So many companies will do that for you. So it's free to you. You get some beers, you get some friends, you get some swag.
Jason, just we have 5 minutes, so just a couple quick questions.
Sorry, this is one more time, but still to answer your question. Almost 2 years ago, after BitBlock Boom in Dallas, independently, 5 different groups started around the Dallas area. They are completely different. There's one that's more technical. There's one like our group at Frisco, we're laid back. Just ask the restaurants, but we actually, in part of that process, got to find, you mentioned Dunston's. Dunston's is run by a Bitcoiner. So we were absolutely sure about, you're a Bitcoiner, we want to patronize you. But you may not find that, you may have to create your own. Like I said, just go out and do it, they will come.
I imagine like a group of people regularly turning up to a business to spend money might be a good advantage to the business as well. We have one final question for this one.
Just to also answer your question in more detail, I run a big community in Australia, and we started out at a brewery, but then we were finding as people come to meet up, people live in apartment buildings, and those apartment buildings have private meeting spaces that only they have access to, and if you just pay them in sats, they'll be able to book a return with their landlord, so you can have a private space there at very little cost. And you can have presentations and everything. But apartment buildings are a pretty good resource.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.